Most web designers aren't making anywhere near the amount of money that they want to be, whilst you've got some who are earning 6 and even 7 figures. So what's the difference? What do these people do that most others or most other web designers don't? It's not talent and it's not luck. It's a few simple strategies, which are the same ones that took me from zero to almost $80,000 a month within 6 years. And in this video, I'm going to break as much of them down as possible. What I've tried to do is put a list together of all the things that I do and other successful web designers do that I know. So first of all, I want to preface this whole video by saying it's not going to happen overnight. This is thinking that people get stuck in, especially those who are, let's say, 0 to 6 months into their journey. They see me and they see my students and they think, well, I can do that in 6 months or I can do it in a year. Whereas in reality, I've been at it for 6 years. For the first 3, I was kind of just flailing about, didn't really know what I was doing. I was just trying to figure things out and sort of lay a blueprint for myself. My students, a lot of them will come in and they already know web design. They've already been practicing web design for a couple of years, sometimes even longer. And what I do is I steer them in the right direction. So I say, hey, you're a great creative, but your business practices suck, basically. And so I give them all the business strategy that they need. And then it looks like a hockey stick. So they may have, let's say, been in the industry for 5 years. And it kind of looks like this. So hockey stick graphs are my favorite. It goes like this. And then it starts to go up and up and up. And then boom, it just flies up through the roof. It only takes a few simple steps or a few simple tweaks. However, you've got people who come in and they've never even touched a website before. They don't even know what Squarespace is. And it takes them a bit longer. It could take 6 months if you are a unicorn. It probably is going to take maybe 2 and a bit years to get to the level that you see people online at. So you can get from $0 to $1,000 online within probably a month or 2 if you really, really go all in. If you want to get to like 5K a month, I think realistically a year if you start from fresh. If you want to get to 10K a month, maybe 18 months to 2 years. And then you find that the hockey stick graph just goes up and up and up. I found that once I hit 10K a month, so my first 10K month was in, I think it was November 2021. And then as soon as I hit that, I never ever dipped below. It was like, I don't know, it was just this baseline that seemed to just stick in place. Like I went from 5 to 6, and then I think I did 8, and then it was 10, and then it was 10, 10, 11, 15, 10. And again, this is where my hockey stick sort of leveled out for a bit, but I never went below. It was 10, 15, 11, maybe like 12 for a few months straight. And then it was the turn of 2023. It was like 15, 20, 25. And it just went bang, 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 bang. It was crazy. So to frame the video, it's not going to happen overnight. But just know, let's say you get 2 years down the line after implementing all these strategies. So I've got a ton of strategies here, a ton of things I want to talk about. Once you implement all of these, then you will see progress. It may not feel like it day to day. It may feel like you just, you can't see the forest for the trees, or you're in the weeds, or whatever silly cliche saying you want to go for. But it's important to know at the end, things will kick on. They will compound. And it's this sort of thinking that separates people who stay in long term and win versus those who come in, think it's a load of bollocks and drop out and then go and try the next thing and the next thing. And they apply that same thinking to whatever they do, whether it's Facebook ads or whether it's social media management, whatever. This is the pattern that you need to stop. It's long term, not as long term as you think, but also not as short term as you think. It's this weird juxtaposition. So all that out the way. Now, I've got actually one of the first things I want to talk about is once your rate sticks, it becomes a baseline. So I see this with so many people. I mean, I've just spoken about my 10K baseline. But what happens, so many people who join Six Figure Design Club, they have been in web design or even specifically Squarespace web design for longer than me, maybe 6 or 7 years. And they're like, yeah, my base rate for a website is $1,000. I have a special package for $2,500 and I make like 5K a month. I'm like, great. How long have you been making 5K a month? And they'll say, past 3 years, 4 years. They just get stuck in this rut because nothing changes if nothing changes. They have the rate. They aren't too bothered about scaling too far. But equally, because they seem to have got this base rate, they never dip below. So it's a nice place to be and it's comfortable. And because it's comfortable and it's familiar, they never go beyond. They never strive to increase their rates to an uncomfortable amount. They never strive to take on more clients than they believe possible. And they just kind of sit here. But the good news is because of that, once you get to, let's say, that 3 to 5K mark, you probably won't dip below there. And I find that really reassuring. If I was coming into web design right now and someone said to me, hey, once you hit like 5K a month, you'll never go below, I would feel like I hit the lottery. And I can say that from experience, that's exactly what happens. You won't have this crazy peak and trough where you go from 5K to 0. You may have peaks and troughs above 5K. So you may go 5K, 15, 5 if you don't do everything to maintain that 15. But equally, once you touch that number, there's no reason why you can't grab onto that as a baseline. So this is exactly what I did with 10K. And it's exactly what people do the opposite way when they reach a big milestone. So this equilibrium doesn't just stick. You have to make it stick. It's not passive. You have to do everything you were doing to get there, to stay there. So what people do, the ones that don't hit that baseline, or they do and they drop off, is they've put months, if not years, of hard work into building systems, into building the right inputs day to day to get to this level. And then they just stop. They get to the level and they stop. They every day have been pitching on 10 to 15 potential jobs. They've been posting multiple LinkedIn posts every single week, possibly once a day. They've been creating YouTube content, blog content. They've been helping out in the forums, in Facebook communities, Slack communities. Their inputs have been impeccable. They've reached what they assume is the pinnacle, let's say 10K a month. And then they go, okay, I'm a 10K a month web designer. I'm just going to focus on my clients right now. They finish up the projects, get paid, and then their pipeline's empty. They've got nothing going on. They've got nothing backing up all of the outgoing projects. They didn't try and stack clients, and they go, I'm back down to a 2K a month or a 3K a month web designer, and they have to build back up and up and up. Again, there is a silver lining to this. Once you experience that, you feel so embarrassed and so stupid that you don't make that mistake again. Well, either you feel like that or you feel deflated and you just leave. You leave the industry completely. I've seen a lot of people do that. They think, I'm not getting any leads. Well, yeah, you're not getting any leads because you stopped doing all the things that got you the leads. Once you got them, you got soft and lazy. And this is why people drop off. And this is why hordes and hordes of new web designers come in because they're hungry, their inputs are sharp, consistent. They get there. Some of them will drop off. They become, the outgoing, the older generation, I guess. And then you got some people who stick at the top, stay at the top, and continue to progress. Those people are few and far between, but you will notice them coming up alongside you or below you, depending on where you are. Now, that's just really important to note. So once you hit the baseline, you'll stay there at least if you do those inputs correctly. Essentially, don't get lazy. Now, what else have we got? All you need, let's see, what's this one? All you need is one person to say yes to a much higher rate, and now you have your proof of concept. Genius words from me. Now, what this means is people get really, really attached to their rate. My hourly rate is $50. I charge $1,000 for a 4-page website. I didn't mean for that to sound like a robot impression, but there we are. Now, what happens is they get, again, so comfortable. A lot of this just comes down to comfort. They get unreasonably comfortable at this rate. And so they never think to charge more. They never dare charge more. They have this belief system where no one is ever going to pay them more than X. No one sees a website as worth more than X. They don't see their skills as worth more than Y. It just goes on. We tell ourselves these stupid arguments as to why we can't charge more. So one of the key things that I teach in Six Figure Design Club, specifically around rates, is you need to charge a ridiculously uncomfortable rate. Now, it doesn't mean that's ridiculously high to the client. It's just something that's ridiculously uncomfortable for you. So let's say your rate for a 5-page website is 2K. Well, the next client that comes in or the next lead that comes in, your uncomfortable rate may be 2.5K. You may think, oh, $500, that's what, like 25%? Hope that maths is right. That's like 25%. I can't add 25% onto my rate. But that client was probably expecting like 3, 4, 5K for the website. You need to test the waters. And as soon as one client says yes to your new rate, that's your new rate. You've locked your new rate in. And sometimes it can be hard to explain this because it just sounds like I'm saying, if you want to charge more, charge more. But it's somewhat more nuanced. So when I am teaching the students, I'll say, you need to be in a position of abundance and not scarcity. And by that, I mean, you need to have enough clients whereby you can leave a negotiation with a new client. So he who can walk away from a deal holds all the power or something like that. And essentially it's the same with a client. You need to be comfortable with that client just saying no. If you are desperate for that work, just stick with your current rate. If you could go without that work for a month and you have, let's say, 5 clients that you're juggling and you think, you know what, if I don't get this, fine, I didn't need it. If they say yes, great, well, I'll take it on and I'll fit it into my schedule. This is kind of related to the last point. So you need to get to a point where, let's say it's a 10-page website. Maybe you've never even done a 10-page website, but you've got 5 or 6 current clients. You can go, okay, what would I feel comfortable charging for a 10-page website based on my current rate, 4K? Okay, well, what are other web designers charging? What's a, to me, ridiculous rate? And you could go, 7K. Let's just say 7K. And I did this. I literally did this maybe 3 years ago. And I was like, you know what? I've got 10 clients and I'm really busy. If this client says no, okay, whatever. If they say yes, I'll fit it in because it's a 3.5K deposit and next month it'll be a 3.5K boost to my earnings. I went in, said 7K. They couldn't believe how cheap it was, how cheap it was, and we went forward with the project. So clients are probably willing to pay a lot more than you think, but because you just cage yourself in this self-inflicted, undercharging, what would you call it, cycle, then you'll never know. If you never test, you'll never know. So make sure you're always testing and pushing that range, because once you do, and at least one client will pay that rate, then 100% there will be other clients who will pay it. And this is exactly how I scale my rates. Once that 7K was locked in, paid, I was like, okay, I know for a 10-page website, I charge 7K. And when someone come in for a 12-pager, I was like, that's 9K. They didn't take it. Someone else come in, I think it was maybe, let's just say 15 pages. I was like, oh, I'll try the 9K on this. Tried the 9K, they accepted, okay, 9K is my rate for a 15-page website. And you can, if you want, just make a list of amount of page website, complexity of the website comes into it as well, and then what your rate is for each. And this can also, you go in a taxi and they've got their rate per mile and they look at the sheet and they go, that is the amount of miles, that's your rate. You can almost look at that with each and every client and you know what to charge. It comes over time, but it's a really useful internal tool to use. Now, what else have we got? I've just been through that, but it may be 1 out of 20, but you still need to keep trying. This is really important because people in general, people get so discouraged so quickly, so easily. Like someone will experience failure in, whatever endeavor it is, and they'll just stop. Like, I've failed once, that means I'm a failure, and I stop and I never try again. Whereas you need to approach this. I think there's a thing in sales, and it's like you want to try and get as many no's as possible. So instead of searching for yes, search for no. Same applies in web design. You want to be testing your new rate as many times as possible. Well, just as many times as possible. I was going to say at a comfortable cadence for you, but realistically, when you're trying to make big strides in the amount of money that you charge, you can't be comfortable. You need to keep testing that same rate because someone will nibble. And it's funny, it's like almost like a universal phenomenon. When someone says yes to a rate, you almost internalize that rate and you embody that rate. And it becomes so much easier to send that proposal to a new client. Each time it just gets easier and easier and easier until you become as comfortable with, let's say, a 10K job as you were with a 1K job 2 years ago. So I'm not talking about, adding 2 or 3K onto a proposal within 2 months. It could be a 200 increase from, 400 to 600. It could be that $600 to $1,000 leap. Once you're at $1,000, it becomes easier and easier. So 1 goes to 1.5, 1.5 goes to 2.5, 2.5 to 3.5, 3.5, let's say to 6. And you just do these leaps and leaps and leaps. You'll hit a point where, you can't just keep tacking on increases. You can't be like, my rate's $1 million. It doesn't work like that. There's a diminishing returns aspect to it. However, it's quite far along, so I'm still doing it now. My sort of base rates, I've got 3.5K for like a simple, no code, drag and drop build, 4 pages, delivered in 2 weeks. We can do maybe 10 of those a month. Then you've got 6.5K up to like 20K. So this range where it's 7 pages, some CSS, still pretty simple. Then you've got 20K plus, so 20K to like 50K for something completely bespoke. So I went from 0 and then for like 6 months, 100, 200, 100, until I had the gumption to be like, it's $1,000. I think, was it 6 months? It was maybe in the first year, towards the end of the first year as a web designer, I just thought, you know what, sod it, $1,000, let's see if anyone bites. I think it was the 3rd or 4th person bit. The other people before would be like, $1,000 is too much. Can we come down? So they'd go down to like 800. But 800 was still 400 more than what I was charging. So a lot of the time, people won't just outright say no. They may try and negotiate you down. As you get further and further on your journey, you don't really want to be negotiating prices, but right at the start, when you're trying to increase your income, it's a great place to be. So that's for like, the smaller or the lower level, I guess. As you get higher and higher, if you want to 10x your income, this is the whole point of this video, then you need to be making those less percentage but larger monetary gains. So like 10% of 6,000 is a $600 boost in your proposal. Whereas, a 10% of like 600 is only 60. You get what I'm saying. So for me, I think it was last year when I charged maybe 20K. My highest ever was 15K. And I was like, do you know what? It's pretty much exactly the same brief. And I think it was for a church. And I was like, do you know what? 20K, I'm super busy. I'm going to trial a new rate. They bit straight away. Because when you charge a higher premium, you automatically have this like halo effect where people perceive you as better than the competition anyway. I had it with a medical company. So I think the other top proposal was like 10K. And they said, this other agency has quoted 10K. You've quoted 15. But they still went with me because it almost gave me an advantage being more than everyone else. So this is something as so much of it comes down to how you approach your perception of pricing and how you imagine a client is going to perceive your pricing. we get so worried about, oh, is a client going to think I'm too much? And is this going to put them off? That we never even test the waters. Every time I've really, really pushed up my price, it's been a positive reaction. Even if they haven't gone with me, they've gone, hey, we love your work, but it's just a little bit too much now. We would love to work with you when we get the budget. This is how it happens. So don't be self-imposing lower rates just because you're worried about someone saying no or how someone will perceive you. You have to trial it. And as I said in the notes, 1 out of 20 may say yes. But as soon as that one person says yes, you'll go from 1 out of 20 to like 3, 4 out of 20. And I mean, my hit rate on proposals isn't crazy. It's like 25% max. But because there's such high rates, I'm doing less projects for more money. And realistically, I'm still doing like 30 projects a month. So instead of, 120 small to mid-range project, it's much higher range projects, less stress for me, less stress for the team. Everyone wins. There's 3 other long-term things that you can do to set yourself up for success and within the next year, start bumping up your rates. So number 1, and this sounds like so David Goggins of me, but it's work weekends. So specifically in like Squarespace web design, the amount of out of offices that I get over the weekend when I'm like emailing people is nuts. The vast majority will sign off over the weekend. I get it. I completely get it. But what happens if you just don't? What happens if you work through the weekends? How many days does that amount to? Like 104. I think it's 104. I don't know, probably. It's a lot of days. That's like a third, almost a third of the year. And obviously some weekends you will take off. So let's say you get an extra 70 days per year. 70 days in 1 year, like full work days, is an insane amount to have on your competition. And if that compounds over like 5 years, so it's 7 times 5, 350, it's roughly an entire year of full work days ahead of your competition in 5 years. This is what I've done. Most people just aren't willing to do it. I guess some people have pets, some people have children, family commitments, whatever. I, in a sense, I'm lucky that I don't have those. Lucky in that I can work more hours. Not lucky in that I hate kids. Don't hate kids, don't hate dogs and cats. Don't sue me. But what I am saying is, if you can just, what's the difference? What is the difference between a Monday and a Saturday? If you work for yourself, if it's your business, then nothing. It's just, a name, a word on the calendar. It is no different. People will say, oh, it feels like a Sunday. Doesn't matter. You can still work at your desk. You can get ahead of everyone. Clear all your emails. This is what I do. I start my weekends by clearing out all my emails, making sure everyone has everything they need, like client side, team side. And then I work a lot on the systems of the business. So how can I create better lead magnets on the site? So when someone signs up for something on the site, can I provide them with even better free value? Can I pitch more? Can I follow up with people in my pipeline? Can I make changes on the site, improvements to my core booking flow? This is the time for strategy, for thinking, because I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but in the week, I'm drowning in emails and client fulfillment. However, on a weekend, I get most of that done within the first, 2 or 3 hours. The rest of the weekend, I can spend thinking about the business, about the overall strategy of what I can do. So for the past 3 months, my weekends have been mostly thinking about how I can improve my website. And we've been working on just making the most obscenely custom website you'll ever see. So hopefully by the time this video goes live, we'll have the new website out. But it's been a labor of love. I could not have got this done. I could not have put all of my ideas together, communicated them to the team, put everything in place to make this happen if I was like, you know what, it's the weekend, I'm going to kick my feet up and I'm just going to watch telly all day. That's what most people will do this. They will just stop working on weekends for no reason other than, well, it's the weekend. And so it's not going to be for everyone. But if you have that time available and you're watching a video like this where you're trying to 10x your income, well, you've surely got to be willing to work on a weekend. I don't even view it as a weekend. Like if you look at my Instagram, you'll just see every morning I'll grab a coffee and then I'll work from like 7:30 a.m. If it's on a Wednesday or it's on a Sunday, it doesn't matter. It's just exactly the same. If you can not perceive a weekend as the weekend and just, I don't know, any old day, then you automatically get ahead. Even saying that out loud, 70 days in a year that you have over your competition is just an absurd amount. It's an absurd amount if you're a business owner to not work, to be quite honest. And you should look at me. I sound like such an arrogant ass, but if you look at me, I am the guinea pig, I guess, for doing this. So 6 years ago, I quit my job. Was it 6 years ago? Maybe even longer. 2019, I quit my job. I think. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Anyway, from that moment, I was like, you know what? I want success. I want this, I want to design this life for myself, and I need a vehicle to get there. And eventually I settled on web design and Squarespace. I want this to be a success. I want my business to be a success more than I want anything else in the world, like legitimately. So why wouldn't I work on the weekend? Like, why wouldn't I spend almost every waking hour trying to make this dream a reality? But some people, or a lot of people, just don't. They have these, grand dreams, and they're like, yeah, but I need to kick my feet up. Why? If you want it more than you want to breathe, if you want it more than anything, then it makes no sense not to do this. So, impassioned rant over. Just work weekends. Because if I just said just work weekends, then it would sound so surface level. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense the way I explained it. If not, and I'm still not getting through, well, I'm sorry, but yeah, it's worked for me, and that's all I know. So that's number one. Number two is, what have we got? Collect reviews on every single platform. So this is Google specifically, but then also all your freelance platforms. So you've got Upwork, People Per Hour is one, Behance is another. Basically, what you want to do is try and, 99, if you're a Squarespace designer, 99 designs as well. You want to try and bill as much of your work through these platforms as possible. Bring external clients in. If you bring external clients in, you don't have to pay platform fees. So try and bring clients in, get 5-star feedback. This way you build a bank of feedback and a body of work on platforms that your ideal client is going to be on. So if you build up all of this, it's going to take, a year, let's say. But if you can build up 20 to, let's say, 50 bits of feedback, then your profiles are going to look so much more robust and attractive to potential clients. They're going to come on, look at you, let's say your profile's all optimized and whatnot, but then they look at the sterling reviews that you have. Then you're going to start getting so many more inbound leads. The inputs are extremely important, e.g. pitching on work, trying to get referrals, blah, blah, blah. But then there's this whole inbound channel that people don't really pay much attention to. I personally only realized this in maybe November last year. And I was like, I'm going to make a concerted effort to get back onto Upwork, take on, admittedly very low paying work, literally like $20, $30. You can go and check my Upwork profile. But it was so worth it to get the feedback. I would be paying a lot of money to get such glowing feedback. The fact that I was getting paid, even a nominal fee instead of paying them for it was like a blessing. And that's how I was framing it. So I got all this feedback, and now I get like 5-10 inbound inquiries a day. It's honestly, it's nuts. And this is the proof of concept. Again, just use me as the guinea pig here. I spent the best part of 4 months doing really crappy, not really crappy projects, but crappy paying projects. But it was all worth it. I think people are averse to hard work when they're not sure of the outcome at the end. If I said to you, you have to run a marathon every single day for 6 months, at the end, you'll be a multi-billionaire. you'd probably do it. But you certainly wouldn't do it if you had no guaranteed outcome at the end. Same with business. It's not guaranteed that you're going to be a 6-7 figure earner, or even in this minute case of Upwork where I was trying to build my feedback, it wasn't guaranteed that all of this low paying work was going to get me these inbounds, was going to build my profile, but it did. And again, I'm using me as the example that it works. So go away, get that feedback in. Now, the Google review aspect ties into the last point, which is SEO. If you really, really want to scale your income, then you need to be investing in SEO. You need to be building systems that attract the right people to you. When someone searches Google, and by extension searches ChatGPT nowadays for best web designer in X area or X industry or on X platform, you want your name to be in the mix. So you need an SEO optimized website. You need blog posts. You need content, as much content around the topic as possible. Pay an SEO expert. I'm not an SEO expert. I pay, a lot of you guys will know him, Henry Purchase from SEO Space. I pay him to do all my SEO. He gets me onto all the pages I need to get on. And yes, this is an investment. You have to pay a decent fee, and it's a lot of effort. But if you are serious about 10x in, 100x in your income, then these are the investments that you need to make. What happens is you get more clients through organic search. You get those clients to leave you a Google review on your Google My Business page. That gets more clients, and that cycle just continues and continues and continues. If you can do that and just go above and beyond for your clients, then you're going to attract more, better clients as well. So more of the better clients, and this cycle just goes bigger and bigger and bigger, almost so big I almost knocked the microphone off. But it's so important for long-term growth to have all of these things in place. So hopefully that's give you an insight into how I've grown my business and how you can grow yours too. One thing I will say before I let you go is that it takes so much effort, and a lot of people, they really, really want something, but they don't really, really want to do the effort. If you are willing to put in hundreds, if not thousands of hours to get to where you want to be, you see me on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and you think, I want to be there. Well, it took me 6 years of working anywhere between about 6 and maybe 16 hours in a day sometimes. It's taken me thousands of hours to get here in front of you right now. It's not really that special. It just takes a long, long time. However, it's probably not as long as in other industries. So to get to the top of the movie industry, it could be 20 years, it could be 30 years. This is a really, really unique industry and a unique opportunity for people who want to scale their income. Become a web designer, put the effort in to become one of the best at what you do, and you will scale your income to where you want it to be.